At long last, the new season of Bungou Stray Dogs is finally here, and if you haven't heard of this one yet, then you definitely have to check it out. It's one of those animes where it doesn't seem like much at first, but trust me, it gets wilder as it progresses. In this verse, we centralize around people with abilities called the Gifted, which are like stands from JoJo's without the overly buffed spirits. And we focus on the main character named Atsushi Nakahima, who is a furry, a guy who has the ability to turn into a powerful tiger, who found a suicidal maniac named Dazai. And from then on, he joined an agency called the Armed Detective Agency, in which the agency always has beef with a crime organization called the Port Mafia. Even though I said that these two organizations are enemies, they kinda have a love-hate relationship with each other, you know. They could be trying to slit each other's throats, and the next thing you know, they'd be in bed with each other. It's a tragic love story, and that's kinda the main thing of this series. As these two organizations are fighting, other problems arises which needs them to join forces with each other. I swear, there was so much happening with one season alone. But if I were to summarize the whole plot of the anime is that this is about two organizations fighting over a book. Yes, a book. But not just any book. It was a book that can manipulate reality, and with all the fighting they've done back and forth, I'm surprised the book did not end up with either of them. I suggest starting with Season 1. There was a lot of twists and turns and characters' arcs that happened that words alone can't describe. Speaking of the characters, they're the ones that make the anime feel so much more interesting to watch. Although I kinda dislike the main character Atsushi. He doesn't feel like the main character to me, and he just feels like the moral representation for the story, as everyone else have their own ideals and beliefs. And that's what makes each character so special, and I mean every single one. They have so much more depth in them compared to our MC. Having a generic backstory about being an orphan and being abused as a child, but at least his fights were cool. Dazai, for example, is actually a former Port Mafia member, one of the highest rankings in fact, one who didn't have much purpose in life. But after witnessing the death of his friend, he wishes to honor his dying wish, in which he said that Dazai should do something that has meaning, like helping other people out. And he now works for the detective agency, contesting his former organization, and that's one of the many character arcs in the series. Their arcs aside, the fights in the series are actually creative, and I just can't take my eyes whenever a fight scene occurs. It's not just about screaming your powers and winning based on who screams louder, but the author actually gave thought and utilized each character's abilities to its full extent. There's one that can use money to make himself stronger based on the amount consumed, another one where it's literally King Crimson without a time skip, and another one where he uses a child. Given the flexibility of powers in this verse, there's always a variety when it comes to fighting. And you don't even have to worry about power scaling here, because fights here are mostly about outsmarting your enemies with your abilities. Although this guy here, Ranpo, is an exception, as he doesn't have any abilities. And he demonstrated that well in the series, as he only used his intelligence to beat his enemies. Kinda like a magicless character in a magic world. With Season 5 releasing, things are getting much more intense. I don't want to spoil much, but we are getting to the main plot. Season 4 was such a cliffhanger, and I'm really glad the 5th season released the same year. Didn't imagine that it would release in such a quick time. With the new faces introduced, things are really getting complicated. As if I wasn't confused enough watching the past 4 seasons, figuring out what the heck is going on, but enjoying it nonetheless, as the characters are putting up a good show. I really recommend that you check it out for yourself and watch all the 4 seasons first, before you watch the latest season, because I can assure you, you'll get confused with it. Y'all can still catch up if you start binge watching now. And when you guys finish, you can join me as I watch this anime weekly. That's it for this one, have a good one.